Okay, in this phase of the software, we're going to be marking the teeth to help orient the software. To do so, I don't want this opposing arch. Right now we're talking about the maxillary arch. You can tell from this image, the gray one. The green one is just the opposing, so I'm going to uncheck this show opposing. Okay. If your models have not been brought in occlusion, you can click on buccal bite registration, which will allow you to occlude the models. However, most softwares that you're generating your models in, particularly all the intraoral scanners, should be generating your models and allow you to export them in occlusion. I do recommend that, but you do have this functionality there for you. Okay, so the software wants us to annotate the teeth, to mark the teeth. We're going to put 2 dots on the teeth and on the incisal edge or the buccal aspect of the posterior teeth. So I'm holding the shift button, okay? If I hold the shift button, I left click, left click, left click, left click. Please don't get creative and try to put them down here, up or down. It's very important that the software knows this is the mesial and this is the distal, and this is the this bisects the tooth. If you were to be missing a tooth, pretend we're missing this premolar, I would come anywhere else and I would just right click. The blue means it's been ignored. Okay? Now I'm going to go back a tooth, 1 tooth back, 1 tooth back, and I'm going to continue marking because we are not missing any. We are done marking these teeth. Now, keep in mind, the reason you line these up is because you essentially want this to represent the curve of the arch, okay? Now, at this point, you can click on go to left side, or we could simply right click on there because it thinks that's a wisdom tooth, and we're ignoring it, so it doesn't matter. Now, I do want to point something out because it's a common problem. People will start marking right here, but what they don't realize is they just marked the wisdom tooth as this tooth. The software won't like that. It'll allow you to do that, but it won't allow you to move to the next phase. So let's go to 1 tooth back. Let's either right click down here or just click on go to left side and pick up our clicking. Okay, and we're now going to say finish marking teeth. Now, before, when the models were brought in, when it was facing us, they were actually turned around. Okay, but now if we use this little guy, we can see that to see that view, we actually have to look from the back. That's because by marking the teeth, the software now knows this is the front of the mouth and this is the back of the mouth. Okay, so that's one of the reasons we do that step. It also helps with figuring out how to segment teeth and what the long axis of the teeth are, and so on and so forth. Okay. If you need to, you can also, if you click on Mark Teeth again, you can move these dots. If you decide that, you know what, I want to move that forward a little, or I want to move it to the left or to the right or whatnot, you have the ability to just drag them around. Okay. We are now going to close the model. And before, in some of the videos in the past, I have shown closing the model outside of BlueSkyPlan in Mesh Mixer or whatnot. Again, I no longer do that. The software works much more smoothly if the models have been closed within BlueSkyPlan. It doesn't cost you anything. It's super easy to do, and it's just going to, the software will process and edit the model, move teeth around much more quickly and efficiently. So I highly recommend sticking with that. As you see, the model is now closed. Now, if you want to change the height of the model, you can do so by coming up in here to Tools, Preferences, and go into the orthodontic preferences. You can see right here, closed model height of 16 millimeters. I would recommend sticking with that, but just so you know, these are where all the different parameters are for the software. There's that and the tooth movement limits. I won't spend much time on these 2 things, but know that they're there if you want to change things like when IPR is going to signal to you, which we'll get to that in a little bit. When we get to the point where we can eventually print aligners, that's not really available right now at the time of making this video, which would be July 8th, 2018. Who knows what's going to happen in the future, but for now, this is just there ready and waiting. And then the rest of them had to do with the indirect bonding trays. This little point right here You'll see this when you first open your software. This is something's going to happen. The software is going to inflate the gingiva, and it's asking you which parameter you want. I stick with the minimum, but some people like to have a little more room so that it doesn't irritate the gingiva, and that's up to you and what you pick. I recommend 0.2 millimeters. Okay, so model's closed. We can move forward. It's going to say continue with the mandible. So we're going to do the same thing. Go in the order that it recommends. Don't get out of track. It will get lost. In previous videos, I have recommended marking the central grooves of the teeth. Do not do that. As we have improved the snap to curve, which is a feature that allows the teeth to be auto-aligned by the software, that has become very important to mark the buccal aspects instead. We found it much easier to get the programming to work more efficiently if we stuck to the to that area instead. And all looks good because it wants me to mark this wisdom tooth, which doesn't exist, so that means I'm good. Finish marking the teeth, close the model. And we are ready to move forward. Okay? Continue to teeth segmentation. Well, that will be the next video. I will pick up there.